Guys, good Friday morning. I'm Jerry Miller, and welcome to Real Talk with Keith Smith. Thank you kindly for joining us. We are live from the Macklin Building in downtown Charlottesville, Virginia, but our audience is Central Virginia-wide, Commonwealth-wide, countrywide, and worldwide on the I Love CVille Network. And today's show is presented by Keller Williams Alliance and our friends at Yes Realty Partners, and it's powered by the fine folks at Sigora Solar. Sigora Solar is going to be a topic on today's program as the friend of the show, Tad Luttrell, visits us today, and we love when he comes on the program. Judah, if you can go to the studio camera, we welcome the distinguished gentleman, Keith Smith. We love this guy, and we love our guest, Keith Smith.
Oh, geez, now I'm blushing.
No pressure.
I'm blushing. Yeah. Hey, Tad, how you doing? Good to see you.
My New Yorker over there.
How's it going? So I'll tell you what, we'll kick off like this. For the half a dozen people who do not know who you are, do not know what Sigora is, would you do me a favor? Introduce yourself, tell a little bit about the company, and then we'll just kind of kick into it.
Yeah, absolutely.
A few things.
So Jerry already mentioned, my name's Tad Luttrell. I'm the Chief Sales and Marketing Officer at Sigora Solar. We are headquartered here in Charlottesville. We are kind of all over the country at this point. Headquartered here, started in Virginia, but we're now in Virginia, Maryland, North Carolina, South Carolina, all the way up to California. Cover a pretty sizable area at this point. And yeah, and just we're now officially, as of I think a month or two ago, we were just named one of the top 10 solar companies in the United States.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So that was a long time goal, not to number one yet, but at least top 10 was a goal of ours for a while. We've been in business since 2011, so we've been doing it for a while now. And yeah, so things are moving right along.
You guys they've exploded.
Yeah.
I mean, put in perspective the explosion. You're everywhere. You cannot go anywhere in Central Virginia, anywhere in the Commonwealth without seeing you guys.
Yeah.
How has this happened?
A lot of hard work by a lot of really good people.
I thought you were going to say your awesomeness.
Yeah.
I was betting on that.
Yeah, that was a safe bet, but not when the cameras are on. No, the truth of the matter is we got a really good team, and it takes a lot of people to do what we do. And there's a need for what we do. We're unique within the solar industry in kind of the types of products that we offer and the approach that we take to people's homes. And so it's worked. And if you go back to 2017, we had never done a single job outside of the state of Virginia. We had like one office only here in Charlottesville. That was our whole company. And now, it's
And you did that all during COVID, really?
Yeah, a lot of it's been during COVID, which had its own challenges for sure.
Sure.
You don't anticipate, something like that happening, sure. And then you just got to figure out how to roll.
It's not written into a business plan.
Exactly. Yeah. There's, I know everyone wants to think that you just have a plan for that type of thing, but yeah.
How did COVID influence the business? Headwinds or tailwinds for the business? Because you had a lot of people at home.
Yeah.
During COVID.
It's interesting because I would say the answer is probably both. And I say that because a lot of our business is actually done through door to door. A lot of our people go out, we knock doors, we spread the word about solar. This is not the type of industry necessarily, at least at this point, hopefully soon. But at this point, it's not the type of industry where people are always just like coming to your door, right? Sometimes you got to go to them. And so COVID had advantages and disadvantages because everyone's home, but they're scared to answer the door. They don't want to talk to strangers, right?
Sure.
So it's really trying to figure out, how to be creative, how to be respectful of people's concerns, and great job of our team to learn to be flexible and figure out how to work with that. We got into a ton of virtual selling as well. And it's been extremely, extremely successful for us. And so, now when people reach out to us at sigorasolar.com, by the way, they can sign up to get an estimate, and it's a free estimate, and we don't even have to come out to their house. I mean, we can just meet with them over the computer, talk with them, figure out their needs, and start to diagnose a plan for them. So
awesome.
Yeah.
So I want to talk a little bit about that process. We are ready to put Sigora Solar on our home. We put a new roof on. We had you guys come out pre-COVID.
Right.
We had 20-plus-year-old HVAC systems. We updated everything. we're ready to make that next step. Particularly when I opened up my electric bill from last month and it was north of $400.
Yeah, man.
Right. So let's do this. Let's do a little sales pitch. Tell me how that process works.
Sure.
I'm interested in doing a Sigora solar on my home. What's my next step other than going online? Tell me how this works.
Yeah, so, in its simplest form, you meet with a rep, again, whether virtually or in-home, we diagnose your needs. Solar's not a one-size-fits-all type of thing, right? So everyone has, and even different size homes use different amounts of power, right? Even if you and Jerry had, your homes were the same square footage, you wouldn't necessarily use the exact same amount of electricity. You wouldn't necessarily
I bet you I
have the
use
same
more
dose.
electricity than he does.
Oh, I mean, look at that hair. I mean, how much hairspray?
The blow dryer alone,
No. Just from the fact that as soon as we walk in, I lower the AC.
that'll do
I
it.
keep it pretty cold at my house. I have a feeling Tad keeps it pretty cold
I
at
keep
his
it-
house too.
Yes, thankfully my wife and I are aligned on that. Yes, we like it cold.
Yeah, so you're very fortunate. That's
So
one
this-
of the friction points with my wife right there is the temperature.
Same here.
Yeah.
Smith household's the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll
it's-
lower it, she'll raise it.
That's what happens. That literally is what happens.
And the funny thing is I'll fool with her and I'll do it on the phone.
Oh, you dirty dog. You dirty dog.
She goes, boy, it's cold in here. Jeez, I have no idea why. Honey, I don't do that.
Your wife is watching the show right
exactly
now.
right.
She's watching
She's on
the
to your
show.
tricks now.
I was wondering how long it would take us to get off course.
That's why we love Tad. He's just a
Didn't take
great
long.
guy.
Did not
I
take
would
long.
pony up to the bar with Tad any day of the week.
I'll
He's
take
a
you up on
great
that
guy.
offer. I'll happily take you up on that offer.
So you guys were mentioning we're seeing these astronomically high electric bills.
Yeah.
So help me.
Yeah, so, ultimately what we do is we design a system for your individual home, and that takes into account the sun exposure that you have on your roof, the amount of available roof space, all of those things. For us, and what has separated us from other solar companies out there is that for everyone else, that's kind of where it stops. For us, that's where it starts, right? We design, but we take a very holistic look at the entire home. One of the things that we've done since the beginning, and Jerry, this is a big answer to your question on what's fueled the growth that we've had, is that we don't just do solar on people's homes, right? Because I think it gets to be a little bit tricky. If you go and talk with a solar company, naturally they're going to recommend solar for you, right? That's pretty simple. If I call an HVAC company, you better believe they're going to try to sell me HVAC.
Sure.
It wouldn't matter if I had a busted window and the air conditioning's running all the time because of that. They're going to try to sell me something new. For us, it's really a matter of understanding the home itself. So we take a really holistic view. We come in, we have an entire separate energy efficiency team where we come in, we set up blower door tests and all kinds of things and really understand where you're losing energy.
I
right?
can testify to that because you guys did that to my house.
Yeah.
Prior to the thing. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's a huge part of it because we want to understand, hey, do you have drafty windows and doors? Do you have leaking ducts? Any of these types of things. There are all kinds of issues, and the whole idea is we want to make sure you get the most bang for your buck out of the solar. And so, the biggest part is don't be wasting energy. We don't want to sell you a bigger solar system than what your home actually needs if we can button it up and make it better for you. And then you take that stuff and you pair it, of course, with Pearl certification, which is really helping you recognize and increase the home's value because
By
of the work
5%,
that's
it's
done.
proven.
That's exactly
It's
right.
proven.
They've
Woody
done
Fincham.
Tons of studies about
That's
this.
totally
Woody Fincham's watching right now.
Woody's the man.
Yeah, he says you're a tank. He literally says that. He's watching you here. And did you see how effortlessly and efficiently he incorporated Pearl into the mix right there? That was beautiful.
I know where my bread's buttered, baby.
That was
Pearl.
beautiful right there. Hey, that's where his bread is buttered over there. You should be getting threatened over there because he's going to replace you, dude.
It's funny. I literally wrote the word down, uncomfortable. I swear to God, I wrote the word down.
It is written down. He's not lying.
Uncomfortable. But it was for a different reason because when you guys came in and did this test to my house, I built my house.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Gotcha.
And I was like, oh, man.
Yeah.
And the good news is I did very well. It was a Pearl certification, you guys' combination. I did very well, other than my HVAC units were super old.
Right.
And my roof was at the end of its life, and it kind of made no sense to put solar on top of old roofing, so we kind of got all that caught up.
Well, and that's actually, it's kind of ironic because in talking about this stuff, that's part of what I wanted to discuss as well is that in terms of taking the approach that we take and really understanding the home, we're actually working through a transition. This is actually kind of breaking news for your show here. We have not formally announced this yet, but you'll see the shirt I have on. This is hot off the presses.
Okay.
So we're actually transitioning now.
Make sure
You're rebranding.
Yes, it will
To
be.
reflect the full service nature of what Sigora offers.
That's exactly
and to
right.
stand out and distinguish yourself from competitors.
Well, I mean, what the heck do I need to say a word for?
And
I'm
it's
ready to put my
guy-
feet
the
up.
branding
No,
guy
but
got
it's freaking
full
brilliant. By
Yeah.
adding home, it
Yeah.
means it's more than just solar.
It is, and it's a lot more than just
Yeah,
solar.
that's brilliant.
What we're doing now is we are moving and transitioning the name over again. Still the same company, still the same work and employees, but now transitioning from Sigora Solar to Sigora Home and really expanding the services that we have the ability to offer. We're actually now incorporating roofing. So someone has the ability, like in your situation, Keith, that they could just have their roof done right through Sigora. They don't have to go to an outside company. Everything can be done in-house. We've already done, batteries for storage and things like that, but now we're transitioning into electrical services, EV chargers, all kinds of different things
That's
like that.
brilliant.
It's really exciting, and I'll tell you some of the technology and the things that we've created and are pairing together now give you an absolutely unbelievable insight into your home. We have production monitoring that we install with solar. So when the solar gets installed, you can look at it any time, see what your system's producing for the day, the week, the month, the year, everything. But we also install consumption monitoring. So you can see how your home is consuming energy.
great.
So if your son Jerry's standing in the kitchen with the refrigerator door open for
You
a
know.
long time, you'll see
The
it
hair
spike.
dryer.
Yeah, that's right, exactly.
Yeah.
The hair dryer's going too long. Keith's wife can get on him about it, So the consumption
Do
monitoring
you
is a
like
huge
guys
part.
got divorce attorneys? Just checking.
That was a good one. That was a good. And you know what? I just did this on the computer. For those that are listening in their cars on Spotify or iTunes, I just literally took my MacBook out and I went to SigoraHome.com to see if they were on top of the IP game. And whoever the chief marketing officer is at Sigora is
wanna
doing a
name any
damn good
names.
job because SigoraHome.com forwards to SigoraSolar.com.
That's right.
So very well done.
Thank you,
Very
thank you.
well done.
Yes, again, we have a team that's pretty darn good at staying on top of things, and that will start to transition. We have rolled it out internally. It takes time, as you know, on a rebrand with a company of our size.
Sure.
It's all new vehicle wrapping and all of the different things that need to be done, down to email signatures and business cards. But everything's transitioning to Sigora Home. New logo, new look. Again, all of the things that we already did, but just expanded services as well. And, electrical services now that are just unbelievable. The whole home now has the ability to communicate. So, whereas you can have consumption monitoring and things like that, but we also have the ability to do electrical service upgrades with smart breaker boxes, smart panels that you can control from your phone anywhere in the country. You can, if you have a battery backup, you can decide what things you want as important, what are secondary, and then what you don't care about to be backed up by your battery, and those can just be changed anytime you want from your phone. So there's just so much, and all of these things, from your EV charger to your batteries to your solar to your other things in the home, they're all going to be communicating, and that's what we're doing now for customers. Where we all walk around with smartphones, but we have dumb houses. Right, and the only thing that we ever have the ability to do is just see one part. We just know it's hot in here, it's cold in here. What's the temperature say? But what if all of these things can communicate and understand, okay, how are we actually using energy? Because it isn't cheap, and it's not going to get cheaper. I mean,
Right.
The reality is electricity is only going to go up, and demand is skyrocketing.
So let's talk about that a little bit. So
Sure.
we've been titling a bunch of shows. We really kind of started it since the beginning of last year, but we're titling it Oh Shift, right? So the real estate market is shifting. We're slowly maybe getting into the point where it's more of a buyer's market. So I'm a seller, right? I want to do some work on my home. Again, talk me through the process. We go ahead and online, people come in, but what I'm hearing now, which is great news, when I had that original conversation, you could have took care of my roof,
Yep.
you could have took care of everything.
It's vertically integrated.
So, but you wrap it into, so tell me how I'm paying for this? Do we have financing options?
Absolutely.
Because that's a big question that I'm asked. And if you can answer this question, does it follow the house? Which is an important question, right?
Yeah.
So when I sell, does it go with the house or do I have to pay it off?
Yeah. So a couple things. Yes, financing is absolutely available.
Cool.
And I will say that 99 times out of 100, the payment for your solar ends up being equal to or less than what you're already paying for your electric bill.
So mine's less.
Okay, yeah, there you go.
But that was because I listened to you guys and I upgraded my HVAC
Right.
system. Yona makes me not use the hairdryer so much.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
that's a big part of it, right? So, for us, it makes sense. And the really nice thing, too, is you have utility rates that are continuing to rise. The financing is fixed. And you can pay it off anytime you want. We have various terms, various rates, all kinds of different things that make sense for people. You're not obligated to keep it for any period of time. Pay it off anytime you want. Later down the road, you may want to take out a home equity loan or something like that and pay it off. You have the ability to do that. So there's a lot of flexibility. And the nice thing is, you're having rates that are equal to, in some cases, maybe even less than mortgage rates right now.
Yeah.
For financing this type of work. And
We wouldn't have said that a few months ago.
Right. No, exactly.
So some a Sigora client. So this is big time news here for those that are watching. They're rebranding from Sigora Solar to Sigora Home.
Yes.
The rebranding is to reflect the full service nature of the company. They're doing much more than solar. Solar's the foundation, but they're doing more than just solar. Is a client going to you guys and financing the installation of a new roof and the solar panels?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes,
That's
the entire
amazing.
package. So
There
what
you
we
go.
would have the ability to do for somebody is, right now today, somebody could have their roof done along with the solar, along with energy efficiency improvements, electrical service upgrades, anything that they needed, package it all into that one financing option, and then just have that one fixed payment
That's
never going to
fantastic.
go up. And
Yeah.
unlike your utility bills that right now are increasing by 5 to 7% a year, every single year, this is fixed. Pay it off anytime you want.
It's the whole purchase, the whole premise of buying a house, like we talk about on the
Exactly
show all
right.
the time, versus renting.
Yes.
And so let's use a live example, my home, right?
Uh-huh.
So last month was 400. I have you guys working on this. I think we're at somewhere around 300, which is a fixed number for 20 years on that end of it. Mrs. Smith finally convinces me to sell the home, and we sell the home. So from my perspective, and you tell me if I'm off base, one of the selling features to the buyer is when Jerry comes in to buy my home, for the next 20 years, their fixed electric bill is fixed for $300 for 20 years. It will not go up from 400 plus 7%. So the point, what I'm trying to make is that transfers with the home.
It can if you want it to.
Got it.
If you want it to transfer, it absolutely can.
Oh, I can pay it off.
You can just
Well, why
pay
would
it
you
off.
pay it off though if it transfers with the home, right?
Well,
To
more
me-
often the reason that people will do that is because they charge more for the sale of the home because there's no electric bill.
Yeah.
So it could go either way. When you
Yeah.
factor in the resale value increase from installing solar as well as Pearl certification, you pair those two things together. As a general rule of thumb, if you have solar installed by Sigora, it has paid for itself day one. When we pull out of the driveway, the increase in equity and resale value in the home has already covered
That's the
the
reason I
cost.
kind of said that. Solar will increase the value of a home.
It's a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer.
It is literally a no-brainer.
So talk to me about the battery packs, because I'm on the fence.
Sure.
On should I get them or I shouldn't get them on there? And I
Should
live
tell them
out.
what the battery pack is, the viewers and listeners.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so essentially, with batteries, you have the ability to have backup storage, kind of like a generator. The difference is they require no maintenance. They are completely silent. They take up very little room. They can be installed just on the wall inside your garage. We install Tesla Powerwalls. That's the main battery that we install. We do have other options as well, but 99% of the batteries we install are made by Tesla. They're fantastic products, and
He's got a Tesla.
yeah, I do have a Tesla.
Yeah.
Yes. And so when you look at the product overall, I'm not going to sit here and tell everyone they have to have a battery, they need a battery, right? It depends on the individual person's usage. We look at the person. How often are you having power outages? What is running in the home? At my house, I have a well. So if the power goes out, I also don't have water,
Yeah.
right? So there are needs there that you have to take into consideration. But right now, and now moving forward, because of the Inflation Reduction Act that just passed, there are lots of new tax credits.
So let's
that have
talk
come
about
into
that.
effect.
That's a big thing. So I haven't had a chance to take a deep dive into that,
Yeah.
and I'm sure you have because it's impacting your world.
I mean, that's his business.
That's
Yes.
yeah. Would you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I'll tell you, there's a couple things, for people, anyone who, maybe had looked into solar in the past year or two and had decided maybe to hold off for a little bit, things just got better. They're never going to get better again, but they got better. The federal tax credit this year was 26% and scheduled to go down to 22% next year and then continue to scale down from there. It has now moved back up to 30%, and it's 30% for the next 10 years.
And explain the federal tax credit to the viewers and listeners.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. So it's essentially 30% of the cost of your system comes back to you as a tax credit, right? So I tell everyone, you don't want me as your accountant, right? You got to make sure that you qualify for a tax credit. But I will say it's not a write-off or a deduction, it's a credit. So as long as you pay that amount or more in federal taxes each year, you actually have the ability to get
you
that.
can pay less, it's just, you just use some of that
Exactly.
dollars to pay it off.
Exactly, and that tax credit will roll over to the next year. So if you can't use all of it in 1 year, it will roll over. Batteries also qualify for the tax credit. So if you had batteries, solar, and now even roofing that needs to be done as part of the solar also has the ability to qualify for the tax credit.
You see, that is, you guys see that right there?
I
That
think
was brilliant.
I put my roof on a little too soon.
Yeah,
well, maybe not. I will say
love
this.
it.
In a perfect
I
world,
paid for it in
Because you roll it all together.
in a perfect world, there could be an argument made that you needed to do it in order to be able to do the solar.
Sure,
right?
I can argue that.
Yes, absolutely.
I know you can.
Now, so here's the thing, and here's
Will
here's
my
the
CPA
beauty of
be
it,
able
though.
to do it?
Well, he should be able to, depending on how quickly you get the solar done.
Yeah.
But what I will say is,
Yes.
this is again the beauty of being able to just go to Sigora and have the roof and the solar done on one agreement, one time, all together.
Love it.
There's no question
Love
about
it.
whether or not this was needed as part of your solar. Therefore,
Plus the convenience.
Absolutely.
It's one team you're interacting with.
that's right. Yeah, so you have the ability, and we have this incredible technology development team. We've built out what we call a customer portal. Every customer, when they move forward with us, they get a link to their own privatized customer portal. It has a timeline of every single stage of their product. So they get to see permits were applied for, they were received this date, they have everything. Your HOA, we have an HOA team, we handle HOA approval. So we talked with them this date, we have these approvals, design and engineering's done all the way through. So you know from top to bottom, because it can take a few months from the time this work is ordered to the time it can be
So that's
installed.
what I was literally just going to ask you. I will pull the trigger today. So when I pull the trigger today, how long before pulling the trigger? I live in Fulton County. You can order product, get on schedule. When's a realistic expectation?
Usually what I would tell people right now is, and again, this is a little bit dependent on exactly what somebody's doing, right?
Sure,
So if
of
you're
course.
just doing solar alone, it's a little bit faster than if you're doing batteries and other things that we have to be able to bring in. Because again, everyone has supply chain issues nowadays, right? We're managing and working around all of these things. But in general, I usually give somebody the time frame of, 12 weeks or so.
Okay.
That's a reasonable expectation. Again, sometimes we can get in that 8 to 12 week range, but between permitting, design and engineering, and just the backlog of work that we have, that's normally about the window of time. Because we do hundreds of installations a month.
You got comments coming in here. So this one's going to be a tough one for you to answer here.
Oh, boy.
Some are asking what is the general ballpark price for the roofing and solar panel installation. It depends on the size of your
That's like
roof.
asking me square foot price.
Yeah, depends on the size of your roof.
Yeah, it totally does. I mean, here's what I can tell you. There's a couple things that I'll kind of point out here. As it pertains to roofing specifically, we are, I would say, extraordinarily competitive on roofing pricing, if not cheaper than the majority of roofers out there. Part of that reason is because no one is on more roofs than we are, right? Even before we were ever doing roofing, we're on the roofs for solar. When we are setting things up on the roofing side, the volume that we have when we're talking with people versus what an individual homeowner has, right? If Jerry goes to a roofer, he's one guy who wants to install one roof. But for us,
You're talking economies of scale.
exactly, we're installing thousands of roofs.
So one of our sponsors, Stanley Martin Homes Space, a little
done
bit
a
cheaper
ton of work with Stanley Martin.
than a 2x4. Then I go to Lowe's
Right.
Yeah.
to buy a
Yes.
2x4.
That's
That's kind of
exactly
how it
right.
works. It's kind of
That's
how
right.
it works. Yeah.
Yeah, and we've done a ton of work for Stanley Martin.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
they're a
know.
prime example. I mean,
Look at him.
we've installed a million. If you go to basically any Stanley Martin model home that has solar on it, it was done by Sigora. But you're right. I mean, so those economies of scale help a lot. Unfortunately, there's absolutely no way I could say what the price is. It does depend on the size of the solar system, the size of the roof, what all needs to be done.
But you've made it easy, though, right?
As easy as it can possibly be.
So it's not a difficult process to go from this conversation online, on a portal, or have somebody come in and just get a written quote, then there's no guess.
It would be hard to be much easier. Yeah. And I say that because ordinarily you have to if you're going to get estimates on pricing on solar, which that alone is difficult enough.
Yeah.
But then separately, now I got to look for roofing companies. Now I got to look for electrical companies. I got to pull all of these people together and figure out who's good, who's not, everything else. Instead, just come under one roof, join one family, and you get everything taken care of.
Again, I can testify to that because it took me about 6 months and I used to be in the business, right?
Right.
It took me 6 months to get a roofer on there to go ahead and get it done. So I'm excited I've got it done because now I can actually get solar installed. But do you have a few?
Yes, more questions.
Oh, okay,
so this one is a good one. This is from Lauren. Says, are you finding you're still having to educate the market for the value of solar, or has the market caught up with the value proposition you offer? That's a great question.
It is a great question. It's interesting. I think there's more knowledge. So people are starting to understand that that solar makes a lot of sense, and I'll be the first to say I'm not the guy who's going to sit here and badmouth the utility companies, right? They play a role. Also, they're in many cases very litigious, so I have no desire to badmouth anybody. But what I will say is, they play a role just like anything else, and the people have just been used to for so long that that's just what you do, right? That's how you provide your power. People have not thought about the fact that now you can make your own. And in many cases, do it for cheaper and more reliably than what someone else can do it. So there's starting to become more awareness around that idea. As the solar market has grown, unfortunately, like anything else, you do have some bad actors. You have a lot of companies that have just popped up in the last 6 months or a year that will kind of tell people what they want to hear. There are differences. Solar panels sometimes, I think, have this misconception because a lot of them look similar. Everyone just assumes they're all the same.
And they're on your roof, so
Exactly.
you can't really see them.
Yeah, and so it's an issue because they're not all made the same. Quality is different, warranties are different, all of those things. The amount of power, two panels could look identical side by side on two different homes, but could be producing completely different amounts of power. And so it becomes really important that you're going to deal with a reputable, good company. It doesn't necessarily have to be Sigora. It should be, but it doesn't have to be. But whoever it is, they need to be a solid, reputable, good company.
So let's talk about warranty, because that's an important question, right?
Absolutely.
I have the panels on my house.
Yeah.
What's my warranty? I have, do they have a lifespan? Do I have to swap them out?
Yeah, as a general rule of thumb, I can tell you for us, the warranty on the products that we carry the best products. So we have 25-year warranties on everything. Our roofing is what they call it a lifetime warranty. It's a 50-year warranty on our roofing. So, the reality is what we try to make sure that we're doing is we're putting stuff out there that's bulletproof and it's going to last for the long haul. 25 years is the period of time it's under warranty. That does not mean 25 years in one day, it just turns into dust or anything like that. It's gonna last a lot longer than that. You're gonna get production for a long period of time, well beyond that. It's just over time, it's gonna degrade, right? So you may have panels up there for 30, 40 years. They're gonna produce, they're just not gonna produce quite as much as
I
what
know
they
about
used
that time in degrading.
Exactly,
At the age
yes.
of 60. I get it. I understand.
Dude, you're still producing.
Yeah.
You're a fine wine.
Yeah, he's a
fine
unicorn.
wine.
Don't go to the producing
You're a
part.
fine wine, my friend.
This is a family show.
You're at peak performance, Keith.
Yeah. Somebody's lying to you, but that's okay.
But yeah, so I mean that's really the thing is that we want to make sure that we're around. We've been around for a long time. We're going to be around for a long time, and we want to make sure that the products that we install are going to be around for a long time. So the long and short of it is, to go back to Lauren's question, we have to educate. Now the type of education is maybe a little bit different than it used to be. Now it's not so much necessarily having to explain to people why they need solar or why they should get solar. I think most people start to understand that it's cheaper and it's going to save them money over the long haul. Now you have to make sure that they're doing it the right way with the right companies and the right products.
I would agree with that. I think because we talk to folks all the time and helping them buy and sell homes. Solar always comes up.
Well, that's why they're on your partner tab of realtalkwithkeithsmith.com. You vetted the partners.
I have. Also, yeah, they also said yes too. So.
You vetted the partners.
Of course, yeah, because we worked together, we'd done projects together, so we knew who was good. But what my thought process was that when we have conversations with folks, everybody kind of gets solar is good. I think as an industry, everybody's done a good job. The process, that's the reason I was asking you process questions. The process is, okay, what do I do? What's my next step?
This is the challenge, in just one man's perspective here. The challenge is the intimidation of the installation and the cost concern.
Yep.
And he's explained both. The installation's not intimidating, especially with the full-service nature of Sigora Home, and the cost pays for itself when the truck leaves the driveway.
Yeah.
The first time.
Those
are the two things.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. And it's a low bar to clear, right? I mean, it's a low hurdle. The thing that I'll say is, and people, this is the one thing education-wise that I always have to really try to make sure that we drive into people. You're already paying for it. This is not a new bill. This is not to say like, oh, well, I'm going to go out and buy a new car and now I have an extra $800 a month I have to pay for. You're already paying for it. You have an electric bill you're paying every single month. So no one's asking you to not pay.
Even if you guys get me to zero, which you did not, by the way, I'm gaining. I'm on a positive cash flow gain on that end of it. I'm still ahead 4 to 6%, right? Because the normal increase is 4 to 6%. And so I'm saying it's much like the real estate we've been talking about for a while. Homes are not going backwards in value. Instead of having double-digit appreciation, it's going to be closer to the 3, 4, 5, 6% appreciation. In your case, it's the opposite direction. I'm being stable, right? And then my electric bill will stay fixed. I love the fact that I can sell a buyer and say, look, your electric bill will never be higher than this for this period of time.
And it's future-proofing your home, right? I mean, that's the other part of this is, later down the road, if somebody does decide they want to sell, you've increased the value of the home.
We want them to sell.
Yeah, exactly, right? I mean, this is good, right? So, and that's the thing, for those people who are going to sell, that's even more of a reason to have solar, right? It's not less of a reason. The people that think, well, I'm going to sell my home in 3 to 5 years, I would say, great, you should get solar. And people say, I'm never going to move out of this house and die here. Great, you should get solar, right? There's never a bad thing.
I think the misconception, because to be totally frank with you, Mrs. Smith and myself had this exact conversation.
Sure, absolutely.
She goes, well, I don't want to write an X check. I said, honey, you don't have to write an X check, right? We're just going to be locked in at this $300 a month payment. We're already paying for something.
That's it.
That's a couple extra martinis a week. and I'm good.
Yeah. Well, and the way we always talk about it
Maybe
as well
is
a
new bike, but we'll see how that goes.
Well, if you moved into a home and the utility company came and knocked on your door, and they said, hey, listen, we just need to pick up that check from you for $110,000 because that's what you're going to be paying in electricity over the next 25 years, you'd have a heart attack, right? But the reality is, that's what they're doing. They're just financing it, right? It's the exact same thing, right? You pay a monthly payment, and they're going to continue to raise it. You talk about owning versus renting. We talk about all the time on the electricity side. You're owning your power instead of renting it. When you are renting electricity, you have a landlord that can raise the rent anytime they want. The utility company has flexibility. And I will say the only other point I want to add is we have not yet gotten anywhere near peak pain when it comes to utility bills.
Oh, definitely not.
For a few reasons. Number one is, and this is where people really don't have an understanding, utility rate increases have a long tail. When we're paying $4 and $5 a gallon for gas, they can't just instantly jack their prices. They have to go to the Public Service Commission and get approvals for all of these things. So you better believe those things are all going to be taken into consideration that haven't been yet taken into now.
That's a great point right there.
I know that world very well, and from the water and the sewer side, which is the same thing. And what you're talking about is it's a monopoly, right? They cannot make any more than 10%, right? So what they're doing is they're booking all these losses is what they're doing, and they're going to be knocking on the SCC and saying, okay, I now need a 20%, or I'm picking a number.
Sure.
Right, some number to do that. And that goes back to our Lake Monticello conversation we have all the time, where people were freaking out because their water and sewer bill went from this to this. It was because it was artificially low, $17 million worth of work went in it, and as time goes on, the SCC is increasing it. So
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you, our clients out in California, the utility rates out there are 3 to 4 times what they are here in Virginia.
Oof.
Literally
Yeah.
like 3 to 4 times as much. And so, it's so easy to spend $500, $600, $700, $1,000 a month or more out there.
So it's interesting, Tad. I've been wanting to ask you this question. So I just came back from a few weeks out west. I was in San Diego, and we're up in Seattle and Portland. In our state, we have to be net zero, right? Because some of these other states, the folks I was talking to actually got checks back from the utility company with solar.
Well, that question literally came on the feed here. Can you get a check back from the utility company if you're putting energy back in the grid?
I believe in the state of Virginia you cannot.
No, so what happens is, there are kind of 2 parts that I want to touch on. So the first part is not exactly. What will happen is you would build, if you were producing more than you were consuming, you would build a credit. That credit would roll over to the next month. It's important to understand that with solar, you don't produce the exact same amount every month of the year because winter, shorter days, that type of thing. So building up that credit can be helpful so that way, because we are always trying to size the right size system for you. We don't want to oversize because it makes no sense to produce more than you need.
Because it goes back in the grid and somebody else benefits from
Exactly.
it. Which is cool. I mean, we can help other people.
Absolutely.
I think that's a good thing.
And the grid is not very sustainable. It's not very stable. So, we want to help that in the ways that we can, but we don't want that money to be lost. So we want to size a system that will maybe give you a credit sometimes, but not consistently overproduce and end up with wasted power. Now, I will say that Virginia now has renewable energy credits where you can actually make money based on the production of the system. And that can be, a really valuable thing. It gets a little confusing we could spend probably a whole show talking about exactly how it's calculated and what it does. But I can tell you the long and short of it is over the lifespan of a system, it can put thousands and thousands of dollars back into the pocket of a homeowner.
Wow.
So not to getting into the details.
Sure.
One, I'm positive cash flow per month already.
That's correct.
And I'm potentially putting enough money in the bank to buy that second new bike I've got my eye on.
And you've
100%.
built substantial equity in your
Yep.
home, or you've contributed to the equity position in your home.
And for those who want to help other folks at some level, you're putting energy back into the system and helping other people.
It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. This is a great question from Grayson, who watches the program all the time, who's watching in Richmond. And then we'll get to Kevin Higgins in Greenwood, Virginia. Kevin Yancey, thank you for that question, in Waynesboro. So this is a great question. What other service silos or service verticals will you guys pursue besides roofing, besides solar panel installation, besides the Powerwall and EV charging? And he says it seems like you guys could be set up for being a full service contractor potentially. That's a tough business. We have some clients in that business. That's a tough business.
Who you telling?
Yeah, I know. Full service contracting is not easy work.
Yeah, we had an ice cream social at our house on Saturday, and we had like 30, 40 people come by, and everybody was, well, why don't you build houses again?
Yeah.
And I went, yeah, no.
Grayson, I respect the entrepreneurial question, but that's a very competitive landscape, and that is not easy work.
No, I'll tell you, one of the things that's made us successful is that we kind of stay in our lane. And we're not interested in being home builders. We're not interested in doing everything under the sun. But we do want all of the things that are relevant and related to the core message and core mission that we have. And so for us, I will tell you there are more things in the pipeline. I have to tell you that we're not ready to announce anything quite yet. But yes, there are more things that will be.
You've got the right platform to do that.
Yeah, I mean, there will be more, but electrical services, is another part of the EV charging only being a part of that.
But you're connected, right? Because you've got to get into my electrical box anyway,
exactly
which means
right.
your guys
I think that's what he's saying.
Your guys are electricians. Yep. It kind of makes sense.
All of those things, those bolt-ons make total sense. And, it's funny because we've always done, say, energy efficiency, right, as part of our solar. And so no one in the country, I don't think, does more energy efficiency work than we do. Because we've done, I don't know the exact number now, 15,000 homes or something like that with just energy efficiency. Wow. So there's just, the level of expertise and knowledge that we have over having done it for just so long really helps. So yeah, there are more things in the pipeline, but I will say that we're never going to stray too far from, that core mission that we have. And
right.
Look at you. Good
yeah,
job.
dude.
Well done. Well done.
This man is a fantastic representation of Sigora Home. I mean, he is just like on point, taking questions on the spot from people.
I love questions.
Yeah.
You kidding me? That's my favorite thing.
This
man.
is from Kevin Higgins in Greenwood. What are your thoughts on solar as a method to generate power in the transportation sector? Do you think it's possible to put solar panels on tractor trailers, on literally like the roofs of tractor trailers?
Well, yes, I will say this. It is not a business that we're going to get into, but it's absolutely possible. There are companies now that are starting to do customized things with, RVs and that type of thing with solar panels on the top. Again, the square footage, the number of panels you can put on something like an RV, you're going to have limited amount of production that you can do. Now, something like a tractor trailer, I think there could be real opportunity there for sure. So I think as time goes on, things will continue to diversify. There will be more creativity. And we're going to continue to find, not we necessarily as Sigora, but just the industry as a whole, is going to continue to find more applications, more ways to be able to make this work. Because the other thing is, there's a commitment now. You're hearing it literally from the government that they want to electrify everything, right? To move away from natural gas and coal and propane and all of these things. A lot of people are surprised to find out. They don't even realize coal is still a huge part of our energy production in this country. Everyone thinks that's like from the 1800s. Nope, that's still happening right now.
Well, anybody who tries to cross the tracks over by downtown Mall of Charlottesville,
you see the coal.
You see the coal train and get stuck in it. You kind of get it.
Yeah, and you look at forgetting about anything with global warming or any of those types of things, but just the environmental impact of having to mine for things like coal and putting in pipelines, doing all of these types of things. To some degree, those things may always be necessary, but man, if you can become more sustainable, if you can create for yourself, it's just...
Well, that's beautiful, right? Giving back and helping the planet's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
But also you help yourself.
100%.
From a financial
yes.
perspective.
I mean, that's the thing is that, as a general rule, most of the time, if you're doing good, it's costing you money. Right? And so I can tell you this, every single time when somebody gets a proposal from us, we break down for their specific project how many trees this is the equivalent of planting, how many vehicles taken off of the road. Real financial and environmental impact is something that's put in front of everybody. So all of our clients get the opportunity to see what we call avoided impact, right? So that's the biggest thing is, we care about that aspect of things as well. And I'll tell you, we do a huge amount of work in Haiti, as you guys know. We've talked about it in the past. We are the largest privately held utility company on the island of Haiti. We build solar-powered microgrids in Haiti and provide power to places that have literally never had electricity before. And so, when you see this, and one of the things that we do as a company is our 1-for-1 program, where every single system that we install here in the U.S., we provide free power to a family in Haiti for 2 years.
That's awesome.
And these are people that have literally never, ever had electricity before. We have amazing pictures and video of people screwing in a light bulb for the first time
Isn't that awesome, man?
That's awesome.
And it's incredible because you see these businesses that start to be able to open up. We have like what we here would call snowball stands, right?
Mm-hmm.
That are in Haiti. They've never had ice before. And so now they start to be able to create these things. There are places in Haiti that you can go right now today, go into a store and ask for either a Coke or a Sigora Coke. And a Sigora Coke means that it's cold, it's refrigerated.
Oh, really?
And schools, they don't have lighting in schools. Students don't have the ability to study after, at night. They can't do their homework, So all of these things, clinics that we're powering with solar. I mean, it is bigger than just how much money am I saving, even though that's definitely the driver for most people, as it should be, right? Because it's the bill you have.
When you can do both, it's only a win-win.
It's a win-win.
All the way across.
You got 9 states watching and 2 countries, one of them the U.S., the other country, Haiti. There's the influence of Sigora. So we don't often have Haiti watching Real Talk with Keith Smith.
We do not.
We do not.
But I can help you buy and sell in Haiti.
Yes, you can. If you need to sell a home, call Keith Smith.
I actually can. Keller Williams.
I know you can.
Really?
No, I absolutely.
That's awesome.
I can.
So we have a lot of questions coming in here. Vanessa Parkhill in Earlysville, hello, welcome to the program. We have friends in North Carolina. A lot of the Midwest is watching right here on Real Talk, which is the Sigora influence. So you have your wife is watching. Mallory, what's up? The beautiful Mallory Luttrell watching the program as we speak. You got a group of 5 moms in Glenmore walking around the loop right now, listening to us on the talk show. That literally is happening.
Nice.
And they want to know what your power situation was like during snowpocalypse earlier this year. Remember when we all lost power for like a week and change? Was that January or February of this year?
It was brutal.
It was brutal. So all the lines, so we live in the same part of Albemarle County, Tad and I, and all the lines in eastern Albemarle County, the trees fell on the power lines. My house, and my wife is in this group walking around the loop here, lost power for, was it 8 days?
It was
7 days.
Way too long.
Like
It was well over north of a week. We've got it back in a couple of days.
Yeah, you got the lake got it back quick.
Yeah.
We got hammered.
Yeah, I think we were out from like Saturday to Friday
Yeah,
or something
so maybe
like
it's
that.
like a week.
It was about a week.
So they want to know what your situation was like during this.
Yeah, so, it's interesting. I'll be the first to tell you, mine is a little bit of a cheat. Because when it really started snowing heavy, my wife and I left and went to Charleston, South Carolina.
Very nice. Very nice.
And then there's that.
Yeah, so we didn't maybe suffer quite the same way that a lot of people did. What I'll say is that's where, those types of things, if your solar panels are clear and the sun's hitting it, and if you had a battery backup, then what's happening is you can power your home from your batteries. The solar is recharging the batteries on a daily basis. And so what's happening is at night, you can still sit there and watch TV and be comfortable because you're drawing from the batteries. And the next day when the sun comes back out, you're recharging the batteries from your solar and you're self-sufficient. And then you're in a situation where, maybe you don't care quite as much about how long the utility company takes because, you're resilient. And I think for me personally and for a lot of people, I think the less dependent you are on outside people to be able to help you and save you and take care of you is going to be, a better scenario.
In any aspect of life.
So that's interesting. I didn't think that through, but of course, if the solar panels are able to charge, it's recharging my solar.
With the caveat, the panels are clear of snow, right?
Yeah.
That's correct. Yes, absolutely. I mean, it's just like anything else. If you had solar panels that were completely covered by snow and there's no sunlight that can get to them, they're not going to be able to produce, right? So you could either go up and clear them off, get a broom out there or something, but outside of that,
which we do not recommend.
No, yes. But what I will say, though, most of the time, there are 2 things to take into consideration. The solar panels are being installed on the portion of the roof that get the most direct sunlight, typically the southern exposure of the roof. So they melt the fastest. That snow is going to melt the fastest. The other thing is they're glass and they're on an angle.
Yeah.
So oftentimes what will happen is once that sun starts to come out, that snow just slides off of those panels. That's not bulletproof. It's not going to happen 100% of the time. The pitch of the roof and those types of things certainly comes into effect. But the reality is you will have snow off of those panels sooner than you will any other part of your roof.
Dude, this guy's made solar panels.
Sexy.
And he's made it cool. He's made it cool. I know.
Just like him.
The dude has made it cool. I've
been in this industry for a really long time.
You make it cool. So here's this question from Waynesboro. What is the standard term on financing? I would imagine that's also kind of independent on who you're dealing with, right?
Yeah, it is. And what people can qualify for and everything else. I mean, I can tell you that there are terms out there that can be 10, 20, 25 years, so in terms of interest rate, it's a big range, obviously. I mean, you can probably, I'm trying to think of what they are running right now, probably from around a 2.99 up to maybe 5.5 or 6, something like that, on a percentage rate. So it's a range, and then it's just a matter of figuring out what you qualify for, which is super easy.
And again, someone who just went through this, it's super painless.
Yeah.
It doesn't take a lot of time.
And we get the answer for you instantly.
And then you can make your decision from that point forward. Do you guys do a lot of commercial work?
We used to do a lot of commercial work, and honestly, we ended up pulling back from commercial to focus on residential because it started taking up too many of our resources to be able to properly support the residential side. So we moved out of commercial, but I will tell you, particularly here around town, many of the wineries and things like that here in and around Central Virginia have Sigora Solar. Carter's Mountain, we've done a huge solar project for Carter's Mountain, Child's Peach Orchard, a bunch of different places. So we've done a lot of that work, so we have a good understanding of what goes into it, but we've really decided to focus our energy on residential.
Hence the name home.
That's it.
I think it's a great rebrand. Here's the final question. It's a good one.
Sure.
How do they work? And for those that are just tuning in, the show's archived at realtalkwithkeithsmith.com. All these answers have been covered. This one was somewhat covered earlier in the interview. Multiple people are asking about HOAs, HOA approval, interacting with the homeowners associations, understandably so. And I'll let you answer this, but you mentioned that Sigora interacts with the HOAs directly.
Yeah, we have a whole team of people that just work with homeowners associations. And they're not all easy to work with. Right? Some are easier than others, for sure. But the reality is that, the tide has started to shift. People are realizing that, solar is becoming a more and more popular thing. It's now, and also they've changed some of the laws and rules as it pertains to,
at the
with
state
the tax
level.
credits. Yeah, exactly, state level, federal level. It's making it harder for HOAs to prevent the installation from solar. So the reality is, I can almost guarantee you, I'm not going to guarantee you, but I can almost guarantee you that if you want to have solar, we can make it happen for you.
Yeah, I can't think of a single HOA in our region.
Not in Central Virginia that I can think of.
That would say no.
No,
And why would they?
No, there's no good reason for it. Yeah, I mean, there's really not. I can't even remember the last time that we had somebody that, we wouldn't have been able to get approved. But again, we have a whole team of people. That's what they do. They just work with HOAs. Unlike a lot of companies who just say, all right, Jerry, go figure that out. When you have the approval, let us know, and then we'll do our part. That for us, we really want to curate the entire experience from front to back. And so we just have our own people to take care of it.
It's also become a bit of a badge of honor, right?
No doubt.
People drive down the street, go, cool, they got solar, cool, they got solar. One kind of last question from me.
Sure.
We are in the market for an EV, right? Or let me rephrase that. Mrs. Smith is in the market for an EV. So we're trying to think 2023, 2024. Tell me, just a silly question. Can I direct charge my EV from my solar and my battery pack, or does this actually go through my electrical panel?
You would have a breaker installed for your EV charger. And so it's sort of indirectly pulling from your solar. It would directly pull from your batteries. Some people even like to set it up to where every night after 8 o'clock at night, they just run their home off their batteries. Every night. They don't pull from the grid whatsoever. So you have that, and then, depending on when you were charging. So the answer is kind of it sort of depends on when you would charge and how you would use it.
Yeah, so we would set it up. She parks a vehicle in the garage at 10 o'clock at night or 8 o'clock at night or whatever it is. It switches to the battery, Tesla battery. Yeah,
because you can decide if you want it to pull from your battery, from the grid or your breaker box. You have a ton of control over that stuff.
So if I'm thinking this the next step through, I can even drive for free.
That's what I do.
That's what he does.
That's exactly what I do.
Yeah. So
I'll tell you that, I've calculated what it costs me to charge my Tesla just from electricity alone. I think it would cost me somewhere like $8 to fill it up. Okay. And that would be if I didn't even have solar.
Okay.
And then, with solar, it cost me absolutely nothing. And I drive.
How many fill-ups a week?
For me, it depends on the week a little bit, but typically once a week, twice maybe. And I'm driving, a mid-size, SUV.
Yeah.
So it's.
You're driving the Y?
Yes. Yeah. Yep. And so, for me, it just, again, it makes total sense. It was always kind of the holy grail well before I ever had a Tesla myself was, okay, wait a minute, so I can make my own electricity.
Yeah.
And then I can use that to charge my car. So why would I not do this?
Yeah.
Right? And then all of those systems, communicate and talk to each other. It's.
Well, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm spending less money. I'm going to charge the new EV on that end of it. And we get to help a family in Haiti.
That's correct.
I mean, hello.
The only thing that I always tell people is and I always like to make this clear. We do not charge anything for consultations, for estimates.
Yeah.
It's free. It does not hurt you to look into it, right?
Yeah.
Just find out. If you don't think it makes sense for you, look into it and find out. If it doesn't, don't do it, right? We don't have any, no one's going to put a gun to your head, I promise you. If they do, please let me know. There's absolutely no risk,
I
right,
think
to
they
learn.
call the cops first.
There's no risk to learning, right? And so if you're not sure, if you haven't looked into it, or even if you have looked into it but you didn't talk with Sigora, talk with us, right? And if it doesn't make sense, don't do it. But for most people, it's going to make sense.
You have crushed this. Kevin, and I think you just got a customer, Waynesboro, Kevin Yancey. Do you have a contact in my area? Can you pass along someone I can reach out to?
100%. What I would say is, rather than getting
I'm literally going to tell him what you say here.
Yeah, I mean, just the easiest thing is go to SigoraSolar.com or SigoraHome.com.
It says check out SigoraHome.com.
You can put right in there to sign up for a consultation.
There is a consultation.
And we will absolutely send you right over to one of our awesome reps out in Waynesboro. We do a ton of work in Waynesboro, Stanton. In fact, our operations center is actually based in Stanton. That's our warehouse facility. Everything's out there. So, we do a ton of work there on the other side of the mountain.
Kevin, I mean, this sounds like a no-brainer for you.
Yeah.
I just,
we got you, Kevin. We got you taken care of, buddy.
He's got you covered. More stuff here. Oh my gosh, this is amazing right here. Solar is so cool on the show right here.
Sexy.
I know. He's so good.
I try to tell people that it's sexy. No one wants to hear it.
But then they look at you.
That's not. That can't be.
Earlysville. I hear that, this is Vanessa. I hear that in California, disposal of solar panels has come to the end of their useful life, has been treated as hazardous. Is it true? And is there any stuff like that in Virginia at all that we should follow?
I mean, the short answer is no. I can't speak to the potential of a one-off case in California. I'd have to maybe do a little bit more research onto that. Solar panel technology has certainly changed. Anything that's at the end of its life at this point would have to be no less than 30 to 40 years old.
Right.
So things have obviously changed in that period of time. But the reality of what they're made with nowadays, it's silicone wafers. It's an aluminum frame. Tempered glass.
Recyclable mostly,
right?
I mean,
it really is. Yeah, I mean, now you're starting to see actual companies pop up that's really what they do.
That would make
sense. They just specialize in the recycling of solar panels because, again, even though they have a very long lifespan, millions are being installed every year. There's going to be over the next coming decades more.
Well, the technology. I mean, I remember when you would have this like wire grid looking panel to this nice.
Now it's so clean.
Yes, sleek, all black. Yeah. The stuff that we install. There's still a lot of that kind of old stuff out there. The companies will still try to use because they figure homeowners don't know the difference, and by the time you found out, it was already on your roof, and there's nothing you can do about it. But for us, everything we do is just a sleek, solid black. It really ties in really well with the home.
Well, I just think as recycling technology grows and you get to the 20 years or 30 years of my panels that are going to be on my roof, I'm sure somebody's going to totally recycle them, make a new panel, and then move on.
Absolutely, yeah, it makes total sense.
You are awesome. Seriously,
you are awesome.
Thank you.
We're going to do this whole thing.
We need to get him on the show more often, dude. He crushes this show.
I've been trying.
It's partly my fault for sure. Keith and
Partly?
He's a busy
I've
guy.
been talking for a few months now about being able to make this happen.
This guy
is
humble. He's humble. He's the chief sales and marketing officer at Sigora Solar. I mean, he's C-suite at a big-time company, and his schedule is pretty damn busy. I would say that's safe, right?
I was out in LA last week when Keith and I were talking. Had some really, I wish that I had the ability to talk about some of the meetings that we had out there. But there's
you will eventually.
I definitely hope to eventually. There's a lot of super, super exciting things. It's busy. But I've been around long enough. It wasn't that long ago that nobody would have, cared about Sigora. Nobody had heard of us before, and so now that some of that's changed, hopefully it's just because a lot of hard work from a lot of people. But we're just scratching the surface.
Take a little credit, buddy. To include you.
Well, sure, I'm part of that team for sure. I'm just the only one that does this type of stuff. So people, maybe think I do more than I do in terms of the grand scheme of things. Thankfully for all of our clients, I've never installed a single panel. I'm not doing the hard work. I'm not climbing ladders. But the truth is, we work hard. We've got a lot of good people. People that do it the wrong way don't last long in our company.
And on that standpoint, I don't think you guys have a lot of employee turnovers, like installer, right? You guys have been super stable with that, right, in recruiting and retention. Is that correct?
We're really fortunate. We keep a lot of, we keep the people we want to keep for the most part. I mean, of course, obviously, the labor market being what it is, you're always looking for good people, and there are always opportunities out there for people. And if somebody, has a better opportunity, we would encourage them to take it.
Of course.
But we're always hiring, always expanding. Right now, for instance, we're hiring 5 to 7 new sales reps per week.
Dang.
And that's not nearly enough.
Really?
We have about 200 employees now.
Wow.
And we don't have nearly enough. We're just on the sales. I hate to call it sales because again, people are already spending the money. It's just, all we do is just
And we don't
help-
really
help
sell,
them.
we educate.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
We
We help them
educate
understand
folks.
it, and then they end up moving forward. But just on that side of it, on the consultant side, we can't keep up. Like, we need more people because there's a lot of demand.
You've got a ton of training and mentorship and all
Absolutely,
that stuff.
yeah. When people come in, I mean, we put them. They don't need to have solar experience or previous knowledge. We put them in a boot camp. We teach them everything. We work with them, mentor them, because we want it to be a career for people. And that's not just on the sales side of things, but that's the same thing for our designers, our installers. All of these things. This is the fastest growing industry in the United States. And there are a lot of people out there right now, I know, that are kind of either in between jobs or not sure what they want to do or trying to figure things out. And I can tell you that there's a lot of opportunity in this industry. Even something like Salesforce developers. Man, we work with Salesforce. We constantly need Salesforce developers. All of these things. We pride ourselves on being a Charlottesville company, but we employ people all over the country. I mean, we have employees in Louisiana, Nevada, California, all over. So we're always looking for good people.
Sigora Solar, guys, Sigora Home, excuse me, just absolutely crushed it. Tad just crushed it. Multiple people are asking for more information. I think the best place to send you is sigorahome.com. I'm on the website now, and it's pretty darn inclusive and detailed with information. Sigorahome.com. We got to get them back.
Yeah, and I wanted to say thank you. I know you're heading up to Pennsylvania.
Yeah, he's going to Pennsylvania from here.
So we're gonna say thank you. We're gonna excuse you. Hit the road. Tell us how that Y does going up there. And Jerry,
Mallory, your man crushed it, Mallory. Absolutely crushed it.
Be back home soon, baby.
Yeah, back home soon, baby. I love that.
unless we sweet talk you into a little bit of the bourbon over
That's
there.
right. Hey, you won't have to
Just
twist
got
my
to drive
arm.
to Pennsylvania.
His wife drives, right?
That's right. Yeah, she can drive.
Oh, he's got a Tesla. I can drive itself.
That's even better.
Yeah.
That's right.
Drive itself.
Tad, thanks,
Yeah,
brother.
thank
We'll see you around, man. Thank
Dude,
you.
absolutely. I'll
Thank
shake
you.
your hand as well. Great job.
Appreciate it. Pleasure, guys.
Judah Wickower, we'll go to the two-shot here, and Keith and I will highlight a couple other items. Multiple people are asking. I encourage you guys to check out sigorahome.com, sigorahome.com. They do your roof, they install your panels, your charging station. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, is Yona really watching?
Yona is watching.
Yeah, we probably should have waited instead of paying the cash to put a roof on. But yeah, I'm excited about it. We're excited about that next step, and it's kind of been an overall plan of ours. So we're excited, and to have his awesomeness here, and make the announcement on our show.
I love it.
Which is pretty.
Yeah. Folks, the whole show, take care. Great job.
Thank you, Ted.
Archived on realtalkwithkeithsmith.com. I love the fact that you can roll. First off, how many roofing companies allow you to finance a roof installation?
I can assure you the ones that I used did not do that.
Right. So there's not many roofing companies that will allow you to finance the installation.
Yeah.
He's saying, Sigora Home, you can finance the roof installation
Yeah.
and the panel installation. You roll up the higher price point,
Yep.
and you get the federal tax credits that are 30%.
Yeah, so I don't have the data with me, but if you take a look at the recent National Association of Realtors, they did a combination between NAR and the remodelers, the National Home. I can get this out. National Association of Home Builders. Roofing was top on there, 100% recovery, right? So if you spend X dollars, you're going to go ahead and get that back on that end of it. But what I think the important conversation to get on the sales side, on my end of the world, right, is if I'm spending X amount of dollars and my monthly payment for the solar is $300, my electric is north of $400, I just saved $100 a month. I've just increased the value of my home with Pearl at least 5% on that end of it, plus the value in it. So when I'm selling it to Jerry, like I said earlier during our conversation, is I just want to let you know your electric bill will never go up for 20 years. It's kind of like a mortgage, right?
Yeah.
It'll never go up, inflation.
You become an owner of power.
What excited me the most about it, and I never really got a straight answer from anybody on that, and I'm glad Tad did that.
Tad gave us a straight answer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I can connect the EV to it, and literally, because the purpose of us buying it is around here, right? We
Sure.
show clients and all that stuff. We don't put more than a couple hundred miles at any given point on it, so we can charge it at night, and I won't have to put a single gallon of gas or spend it. So my expenses as the company went down, my expenses of my house went down, and we get to help a family in freaking Haiti.
Yeah.
How awesome is that?
That is awesome.
I got chills.
I mean, they're booming. They are booming, and you see why they're booming. And how about the rebrand? It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I saw your.
Brilliant.
I saw your. I mean, the sparkles.
As soon as I heard him start to describe it, I'm like, he's differentiating himself from the market and his competitors. He's showing the full service nature of the company, its value proposition, something else to leverage in marketing. I mean, it's the installation. I mean, how much does a roof cost? How much does a roof cost at your house?
15 grand.
15 grand. Finding a roofer that will finance.
It's 40 squares. So when you do a roof, a square is 10 foot by 10 foot,
Yeah.
which is 100 square feet. Remove the old roof, put the new roof on, and the thing that there was some repair work they needed to do underneath it and all that kind of great stuff cost us $15,000.
Right. And
Cash.
here's an option to get.
Guy got finished, got a check.
Yeah. Here's an option to get it solared
Yeah.
and a new roof.
Yeah.
And they finance it.
Yeah. Darn.
So.
You know how many bikes I could have bought for $15,000?
Hindsight's 2020. Plus the federal tax credit and the Inflation Reduction Act.
Yeah, so we have our meeting with our CPA here next week, so I'm going to...
You're going to ask him about that with the roof, because then you got the panels. You probably could bundle it.
There's a note in my little book about that.
Yeah, the bundle.
Ask that maybe I can get a little bit back of that $15,000 on that, and maybe at some point, who knows? They might be going into HVAC systems, and because that's where I wasn't joking. I was a little nervous. I built the house. My wife is here. Everybody's here. I was like, oh, geez.
What are they going to find?
What are they going to
find?
But
it was great. Though.
Yeah, no, it worked out
Flying
great.
colors.
Other than my HVAC system was like double its lifespan on it.
Well, that's a good system.
That's very much so. We were very fortunate, and that. But between the roof and the two HVAC systems, it was a substantial amount of money. That's the reason we've been delaying for 2+ years to put solar on, because we wanted to get those things done, which was the plan at the time that they gave us. So we're ready to rock and roll. I'm excited about it.
I love it. You killed it. Now, about 5 minutes or so and change here. That was a fantastic portion of the program with Tad and Sigora. A couple of items in your notebook you wanted to get out there, Keith Smith.
Yeah, you know what? I'm so excited about the solar. I forgot what they were. To be frank with you,
I was very excited as well.
Yeah. Look, I think what we were hoping to do on the second half of the show, but the conversation with Tad was off the charts.
Beautiful.
We promised some viewers and listeners to take a look at some other live subdivisions and other live areas. Again, with only a few minutes left, we're probably not going to get.
You want to table to Monday?
We're going to do that on Monday, right? So we've been doing that. The last few shows have been super successful.
Yeah.
I'm getting a ton of feedback
too.
from folks. So those who are watching and listening, if you can think about subdivisions or areas or counties that you want to know a little bit more, Smith's ADD is getting a little bit better, and
you're doing great.
And we can live check what's going on in those particular markets. So that's what we'll do on Monday. I'm excited about that.
It's a great show for Monday.
With 5 minutes, it's going to be pretty hard to take.
So Monday, viewers and listeners, on Real Talk with Keith Smith, we will highlight various neighborhoods, subdivisions, even jurisdictions, and Keith and I, mainly Keith, live.
No, it's a team effort.
We'll give our takes on this, and he will even add the data from the MLS.
Yeah,
that's
so
what you're saying, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be live looking at this through our Paragon system and take a look at it. We've kind of done it loosely on a couple of shows, and it's really worked out well.
That was great. Yeah.
So those who are listening or watching, you can DM us or put it in the feed or whatever. If there's something beforehand that you can't make the show live, let us know what you'd like to take a look at it. I do have a couple of experts coming in at Glenmore at the end, I think it's the last Monday of September.
Okay.
I was talking to 2 real estate agents on the way in, and I was just telling them how blessed I am that you came up with this idea and talked me into doing that. Didn't actually take any talking, but 3.5, 4 years ago.
You're a natural
at this. And I say all the time, it makes me better what I do every day because I'm digging into data. But Glenmore, Lake Monticello, whatever subdivision you want to take a hard look at, we're going to do it live. I'm excited about it.
I love it. I love it. Keith Smith, realtalkwithkeithsmith.com. The website, all the shows archived at realtalkwithkeithsmith.com. If you're thinking about solar, go to realtalkwithkeithsmith.com, watch the episode. Tad does a phenomenal job of answering questions. It's a fantastic starting point or baseline for this decision for you.
It's a whole sizzle reel. It's a full show sizzle reel. You need to look at the whole thing.
Put it on you may even want to consider putting it on the Sigora home website. It was that good. Just an idea. So
well, they need to do that.
Well, I know. It wouldn't be you.
But we're going on Monday, which we're not going to talk too much about. We have a new sponsor, a photographer that we're going to talk about on Monday.
Do we want to say their name?
Let's
save it for Monday?
We're going to save it for Monday.
New partner
to coming in.
The brand's growing.
Yeah, so we're excited about it.
Keith, you crushed it.
Thank you.
Seriously.
All I had to do was strap in and
fun.
sit back and let Tad do his thing.
Don't you really? I mean, you can feel like when the shows are clicking.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And you're like, this one's clicking.
Yeah, man. It's
just easy.
If you ever run a marathon, you do long distance running or anything like that, it's funny, like some marathons you run it or half marathons and you go, whoa, that was easy. And some of them not so much.
Yeah.
My bike ride was one of those this morning. That was brutal this morning on the bike because the humidity was a little, my sunglasses or my eyeglasses were fogging up on that. That was a brutal, the day before it was like, wow. I could do another 15. This morning, when I hit 15, I was like, I'm getting off this bike. I'm done. Today, it just was so natural.
Right. So natural. Judah Wickhauer, thank you for your hard work. For Keith Smith of Yes Realty Partners, my name is Jerry Miller. We will see you on the I Love CVille show in T-1 hour. Take care, everyone. Keith, well done.
Thank you, sir. No, I just strapped in, buddy.
He's phenomenal.
It took me a